This is the second in our series of videos on business building, innovation, opportunity capture. Previously we talked about the need for innovation and the fact that if you don't innovate or find the next opportunity, your life expectancy can be probably 5 years or even less. Today we're going to talk about what happens when you get an idea. Usually when you have an idea, you write a business plan. And I've often asked the question, has anybody ever handed you a losing business plan? A losing business plan. I've never seen anyone write a losing business plan. And it's really interesting. When someone writes a business plan, they start with an idea. I've got the inspiration. So they start preparing a document to sell that idea. And at the back of every business plan, we have the same famous document. It's called a spreadsheet. We have year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. And we talk about how many widgets we're going to sell in year 1. We talk about the cost of making those widgets. Then we talk about the profit. And after year 5, we know we're going to have a huge profit. And when we're preparing this business plan, what do we do when we run the numbers in our spreadsheet if this number isn't the big number we expected? I'll tell you what we do, and we all do this, not because we're crooks or criminals or con men, because we're passionate. We change the numbers. We always knew this was going to be a good idea, so we fiddle with the numbers in our spreadsheet until this number comes up to where we want it to be. And then we say, aha, I have the winning business plan. And we go to some financiers or some entrepreneurs and say, look what I'm doing, and with a little bit of luck and a good story, we'll get started. How do we fix this? This problem of writing business plans that fundamentally are flawed. The answer is with innovation, and we're going to explore that later in this series. But there's a few things we need to understand before we start to delve into this matter of innovation. The first thing is persistence. Have you ever seen anybody standing on the lectern that's been a successful entrepreneur, and there's a common theme in all of their stories? It was tough. I had to work hard. I had to persist. I had to persist against all the odds, and I made it. And it amazes me when I often walk into managers' offices and I see a placard on the wall and it says, persist and you will win. Never stop. Never give up. Persistence breeds success. Well, let me tell you, that is complete nonsense. No amount of persistence will turn a bad idea into a good idea. If it's fundamentally a bad idea, making more effort to make it good won't change anything. A good entrepreneur knows when to stop. Now, that's not to say that business plans aren't invaluable documents. When you have an idea, it's important to try and document and capture that. A business plan is what I would say starts you on the journey of the business. And I want to give you an example of how some people can get it wrong and others can get it right by being vigilant and opportunistic. I like to use an example of a chocolate cake. Now let us pretend it's, say, 1960. And I realised that nobody in the world has the perfect chocolate cake mix. No one's got a packet mix that I can add water to, put it in an oven, and boom, I've got a beautiful chocolate cake. So I think I'm going to develop the perfect chocolate cake because I know there's a big market for this. So I hire some chemists and some food technologists and I put them together and in a room and I give them some money. I say, folks, develop the perfect chocolate cake. So they start here at year 1 and they start heading on their journey developing the perfect chocolate cake. And guess what? 5 years later, 6 years later, even more, they're still heading on the journey. And every time they try and make a chocolate cake, it's not right. But these fellows persist, or these ladies, these gents, these scientists persist. They've got money behind them, so they persist trying to make the perfect chocolate cake mix. They never succeed. Let's take an example of another entrepreneur who hires some innovators, some scientists that are skilled in the art of food and technology and so on. And they say to those people, I want you to develop the perfect chocolate cake because we understand there's a great market if we can do this. So these people head off on the journey and they start developing a chocolate cake. And when they get down to about here, they stop and they say, this is a bit of a problem. We can't seem to get this chocolate cake mix right. I wonder what the issue is. Aha, they say, the problem is not the chocolate cake mix. The fact is no one makes the proper oven. The real opportunity lies in ovens. So they divert their attention over here and start making the perfect oven. That's where the opportunity was. So the point I'm trying to make here is that whilst business plans are essential, remember, business plans start you on the journey. What you've got to do is head off on the journey, but keep a wide vista. Look for where the real opportunities are. And in fact, it's really interesting. There's a fellow in England some years ago wrote a book. I think the book was called The Luck Factor or something like that. And he was trying to understand what makes some people lucky and other people unlucky. And he did a PhD thesis on this, I believe, and he determined that unlucky people in life, sort of the people that I'm afraid I guess we know some of them. They might have an alcoholic husband or wife, or someone who's always at the casino, or the kids are always in trouble. We probably all know somebody like that. They're what we might call unlucky people. And what he determined was that the unlucky people tended to have tunnel vision. They would go into a situation with a fixed view. And as soon as you try to ask them to think differently about a particular situation, whatever the issue was, it might be the way they do their job, it might be the way they travel to work, it could be any of those things. Oh no, I've always done it this way, I'll always do it that way. Whereas the lucky people tend to have a wider vista. They would have a different attitude when they'd go into a meeting or a business situation or in life in general. They would be vigilant, looking for where the real opportunities are. That's what we have to be if we're going to be successful entrepreneurs. It's just like this chocolate cake example. Persisting with a dumb idea is a dumb thing to do. And what do they say? If you keep doing the same thing and get the same result, it doesn't matter how many times you do it, you'll keep getting the same result. You've got to learn when to stop. So that's the essence of business plans. Indeed, a business plan is essential. It gets you started on the journey. And I realise that when people write a business plan, they'll be excited and motivated and write a winning business plan, but understand that is the starting point. Realise that whilst you're on the journey, you have to be vigilant and see where the real opportunities lie.